Hello all and welcome to another Winged Review. Now, a little while ago, shortly before Christmas 2015, I went to the theatre with my flatmate and some other people, and we went to see Rebecca, based on the Daphne Du Maurier book of the same name. At the time, I knew nothing of the book, I'd never heard of it, but I like the theatre, and apparently this is some sort of massive, huge story. It's very popular, it's a classic, apparently, and it's got their world famous bestseller, so thought give it a go, saw the play, and the play was naff. I mean, it tried to make a pantomime out of something that had quite a dark, sinister plot. So there was one moment in it where someone was pretty much trying to convince someone to commit suicide. It was this really oppressive, sinister moment, and then as soon as that was over, there was this really big jaunty tune and a load of comedy moments. It just didn't work, and that damn dog, the dog, eventually, the dog Jasper, they actually sort of said, you know, Jasper the dog, everybody, and then there's like a puppeteer with the dog, and he actually made it stand up on its back legs and started, it was going like that as it was going off the stage. It was just horrendous. But the mystery of the actual plot itself was what kept us there. That was very, very good. It was a shame about the rest of it, but people said, well, one of the people we went with said that Daphne Du Maurier would be turning in her grave. Somebody else who I work with, who actually went along because they liked the book, he said it was horrendous. And someone who we just randomly got talking to in the theatre said she wondered if Daphne Du Maurier's family could sue because of how much they've ruined it. But the guy I work with, he kindly lent me the book, and I gave it a read. And even without reading the book, I knew that the theatre production had ruined the story essentially by what they'd tried to make a comedy out of it, essentially. But now, having actually read the book, I finished it yesterday, and it's so good. It did start off a bit wishy-washy, and I did skip a few bits, but I'll get into that in a minute. But by the end, oh my god, I was gripped. The basic story, Rebecca, that's the new Mrs. De Winter. Rebecca De Winter, wife of Maxim De Winter, rich couple, live in a big mansion, Manderlay. Rebecca, because they live near the sea, she goes out on her boat, never comes back. So about a year or so later, Maxim happens to meet this lady, and they end up getting married, and she becomes the new Mrs. De Winter, and they move into Manderlay. You never find out what the Mrs. De Winter's name is. She's always just referred to as Mrs. De Winter. You never find out what her name is, or whatever her name was beforehand, before she got married. But because she's from a different background, although Maxim, like loads of money, big house, servants, and all that sort of thing, Mrs. De Winter, just as a reference, she'll be Mrs. De Winter and Rebecca will be Rebecca. Otherwise, having to say the former and the new Mrs. De Winter just gets complicated. But Mrs. De Winter, she kind of struggles to adjust moving into the big mansion, having the servants, and every morning she gets given a copy of the menu by Mrs. Danvers, who's like the lead servant of the place, as it were. And it's so she can make any changes she feels necessary. But Mrs. De Winter always sort of says, "Oh no, it's fine if you think best." And whenever Mrs. Danvers asks her a question, i.e., what sauce would you like to be served with it, it's a case of, well, which sauce do you think would be best? And it's just a case of grow some balls, love. She eventually did, and it was amazing. I was going to find it to read it, but it was just it was my favourite line in the entire book when she, I could recite it, but I won't, because if you're going to read the book, it is such a brilliant line when something happens. Mrs. Danvers approaches Mrs. De Winter and sort of says, Rebecca did this, why are you doing that? And it was pretty much just a case of, I don't care what she does, this is what I'm doing, like it or lump it. But with the way it's brilliantly written, and it was just so good. I love that line. And it was really good. It was a little bit wishy-washy. There was a lot of stuff. I mean, the book is ish thick. I mean, it takes me ages to read books. I don't get a long time to read. But there was a lot of stuff in there that could easily have been cut out. I mean, when things happen, people play it over in their minds. They sort of think about how things will turn out and all that sort of thing, which she does, Mrs. De Winter, which is fair enough. Go into a little bit of how she's worried about her actions and all that, no problem. But I think there was one point where it went on for about 2 pages of it's just her thinking about how she thinks it will turn out. It doesn't, so it's just a complete waste of time. It's all well and good having stuff like that in there so we can get a view into what she's like and what she's worried about and all that, but it goes on a little bit too long with stuff that it's just her assumptions essentially, and it happens a bit too often. So there are a few other things as well where it just goes on a bit too heavy with the description about what's going on. There's stuff you really don't need to know. So there were odd little paragraphs that I did skip, but for the most part I thoroughly enjoyed it. Have I spoken about the plot yet? I don't think so. Well, Rebecca, goes on her boat, doesn't come back, marries. She's trying to adjust, and then I did mention it. No minor spoiler, but it looks as though it wasn't it wasn't so much an accident of how she died. That's all I'm going to say. They find the boat, and certain things come to light which spread some doubt onto how things actually occurred, and that's when this book massively picked up. From there, there's some huge big twists and things, and just seeing how things are going to turn out, I was gripped. I normally read it during my lunch break at work, and there were times where I only do it for half an hour, and my half an hour was up. I had to go back, and I just really wanted to carry on reading, so it really gripped me towards the end. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But overall, I can see now more anyway how people were saying that the theatrical version of the play ruined the book. It is a very good book, and there are a couple of other books of Daphne Du Maurier that I wouldn't mind reading. People have recommended, was it Frenchman's Creek? Yeah, Frenchman's Creek and Jamaica Inn, people have recommended, so I wouldn't mind giving those a go one day. But as far as Rebecca goes, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Very good plot, good characters, a few little issues here and there, but by like the 2/3 of the way through, when it massively picks up, it is absolutely amazing, and I would definitely recommend this book. It's very, very good. It's an international bestseller. It's been out gone for years. When was it originally published? 1992. First published in 1938. So there you go. It's been going for quite a while now. Apparently there is a Hitchcock film or something apparently of this, which apparently is quite a close adaptation, more so than what the play was. So I wouldn't mind giving that a go as well. But as far as the Rebecca book goes, I can certainly see why there's a lot of hype about it. It might be a little bit iffy at the start, but it massively picks up. It's got a very good twist to it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Highly recommended. See you next time.